Bill King is with us every Wednesday at this time, and we always appreciate him doing that. He is the outstanding host on Nashville Sports Radio from 6 to 9, Monday through Friday, the king of college football talk. Bill, what's new these days? What are you up to?
Hey, guys, what's up?
Well, you got college baseball nearing the end of the regular season. You got Tim Tebow potentially signing a professional football contract. Is that one of the more surprising things that you thought you might not have heard since he gave football up for baseball and became a television star? I don't see Tebow sticking in the NFL, nor do I see any other team other than Urban Meyer's team signing him.
I wasn't surprised because I'd been hearing, guys, I may be dating a little. I've been hearing since maybe February that there had been a private workout of some sort, and that there would be a one-year contract. Now, again, does he make the 53-man final roster? You're right. He hadn't played, almost a decade? 9 years? So I'm skeptical there. I'm a big fan of his. Guys, I interviewed him when he was in high school. He's been homeschooled, and he had it down to Alabama. He really liked Mike Shula. He had it down to Alabama and Florida and made the right choice. Obviously, Mike Shula probably wouldn't have been a good destination. But I'm like you guys. I don't think he sticks.
Well, and it feels like Urban is doing a favor for somebody that he is still very fond of and obviously has reason for. But I also can't imagine, I mean, like, let's put Tim Tebow 10 years ago. What if he made that position switch 10 years ago and everybody was telling him this is where you need to be? Now, I know he'd never worried about blocking anybody before, but it certainly looks like he's got the body type. Could he have been an NFL tight end if he tried it 10 years ago?
Probably. He's 6'3", guys. He's all of 6'3", 240 without trying. He's got good size. He's athletic. But you guys know you can't take quarterbacks, at least not often, and convince them to do something else. That's a heavy ego position. I say that in a complimentary way. And no quarterback, 99 out of 100 quarterbacks are not going to make that move for you just because of the glory and the glamour of the position.
Gosh, I mean, you're not kidding about that, too. I mean, I remember as a Steelers fan in the 90s, and you get Cordell Stewart, who comes in as a slash wide receiver, running back. He wanted to be a quarterback. He refused to play receiver after that, and who knows? Lamar Jackson, some people think he should just be a running back, not a quarterback, but who knows? By the way, I don't know any other – Go ahead.
No, your Arkansas fans they're going to be tweeting us because obviously Arkansas had a heck of a quarterback a few years ago get drafted as a wide receiver in the NFL by Jacksonville. So there are some exceptions.
That's true. Very true. And Matt had a good thing going there a couple years. It just didn't last too long.
Heck of an athlete.
Let's see. I was reading about the sad story of Colt Brennan yesterday. You remember Brennan? He was the star quarterback for Hawaii at 4,000-yard passing seasons and had the single-season record in passing touchdowns before Joe Burrow broke it a couple of years ago. I had not followed him after his career ended, but it's a sad story of addiction and rehab and just a cycle that I think we've become accustomed to hearing in some cases, but forgot how incredibly productive he was for years there in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah. Such a accomplished passer, and I'm like you. I did not know what his life pathway was since we remembered him playing. So I was not aware of any of this till I read up on it. What was he, only 37, I believe, or whatever, very young, and apparently it was fentanyl that got his dad says that's what it was, and that's a incredible 37, guys. I mean, for somebody who grew up in the 70s, that's awfully young. Very sad.
Yeah. Well, and he was only a sixth-round pick, so who knows if he probably wasn't going to stick in the NFL, but it just kind of reminds me a little bit of, like, Todd Marinovich, Art Schlichter. You remember these star quarterbacks from the 70s and the 80s? Now, these were first-round picks, though, in different situations, but also that's, those were careers that never went anywhere because of drugs and addiction.
Yeah, and Schlichter's was really gambling. if you'll recall.
That's right.
And he was, oh man, what a quarterback he was as a true freshman, 79-ish. I may be getting the exact year, maybe 78, and had stardom written all over him. And just think it started when he was in high school, going to a local horse track or something and betting, and I think he's still incarcerated. If I read up correctly a few years ago.
Bill King joining us here on Halftime. Bill, there's been some SEC football news coming across. I want to get your thoughts on a little bit of this. Alabama got one of the biggest transfers coming out of Tennessee, and I'm going to mispronounce this kid's name, so forgive me. But Henry To'o.
To'o.
That's good.
Is that good? Okay.
That is good.
Yeah. All right, good enough for me. So how big of a transfer is this coming from Tennessee to getting the Tennessee linebacker coming to Florida? Or coming to Alabama, excuse me.
Tennessee, despite how bad they looked last year, had several outstanding players. And one was Eric Gray, who's at Oklahoma, running back. He will star there. Ty Chandler was good. He wasn't as good as Eric Gray. He's now at North Carolina. He'll be one of their feature running backs. And also Tennessee starting left tackle, Wanye Morris, was a five-star recruit. He'll start on the offensive line for Oklahoma. And then Henry To'o was a sideline-to-sideline linebacker. Now, he's not a big – he's a thumper, but he's not a big, thick guy. He's probably 218, 6'2", but he will thrive at Alabama. And he wanted to go. He was down to Alabama and Tennessee out of California. Jimmy Pruitt was able to talk him into Tennessee. He played immediately. He played the whole time for 2 years there. And wanted to go to Alabama when it was transfer portal time. But the SEC had that intra-conference rule, and it looked like Ohio State was going to get it. And I guess what happened here recently is they must have gotten some quiet assurance, Alabama did, from the SEC office, that when we get to the SEC meetings in Sandestin here in a few weeks, they're going to change that rule. So he's clear.
Bill, I'm 28 years old, and one day I wish to be as confident as Jimbo Fisher for him coming out and making that statement, saying, and I'm not going to say what he said, but basically we're going to kick we're going to kick Alabama's what. Why on earth would you make that statement if you're Texas A&M and you're Jimbo Fisher? And as a follow-up, is A&M in a position this year to do what Jimbo Fisher said and kick Alabama's keister?
You can be good and still not kick their bleep, and that's what A&M. A&M's going to be good. They may be if Alabama and Georgia are the top two teams, A&M is likely number 3. That's where they have ascended. But no, I don't see them supplanting Alabama. Now you got to remember, a lot of people, because it's Twitter fodder, it's fun, it's good for the talk shows. But if there's anybody who can pop off about Nick Saban and have fun with it and not suffer the private repercussions, it's Jimbo. Those guys that might be Saban's favorite guy among all the assistants he either has or had. They love each other. Those guys are buddies, and I don't think Nick could care. Now, if it were somebody else privately, it may be a big deal, but I don't think there's anything to this other than one buddy poking another.
You could tell in Saban's response to Simone Eli, who's the reporter in Mobile that asked the question that got all of this. And it was funny, in golf. But then he goes on to talk about how close the two of them are, that they're golf partners and had been for years and all of that. You could tell. I don't think Saban took any umbrage from that whatsoever.
I don't. Yeah, I don't either. I mean, they're Nick picks and chooses whoever the heck he wants, obviously, but that guy's on the good guy list. It may not be a long list, but he's one of them.
Bill, before we let you go, before I throw it back over to Phil, we'd love to get your thoughts on some Razorback football. And a lot of Razorback fans here think that this Razorback defense, is going to take the next step this season with some of this returning talent that you got, or turning all but one starter. I believe, if I'm saying that right. I mean, you got a lot of depth at linebacker this year with Bumper Poole and Grant Morgan. I think and having a full offseason now for Barry Odom to really do his magic. You saw what he could do in year one, and that didn't even have an offseason program. All this was based over Zoom calls. So year 2, you get a full offseason. You had the spring. What kind of a transition do you think this Arkansas defense will make from year 1 of Barry Odom to year 2 of Barry Odom?
More of the same. Very stabilized. I noticed early last year in the Georgia game. Very stable, very fundamental. Weren't a big bust team, and that's part of it. Let me throw a little word of caution here, and not to be negative at all, but fans sometimes think that just because you post a certain number year one, year two, just because it's year two,
right,
post a better number. That's not the way it works. It sometimes does happen that way, but it's no guarantee. And you got to remember, I don't think anybody disrespects Arkansas anymore. I do think Arkansas had lost the respect of most everybody they played until this last year. That's not the case anymore. It's going to be harder. I absolutely think they're going to be better, both sides of the ball. But just don't make the assumption that year two is always better than year one. It doesn't. The math doesn't work that way all the time.
Bill, I want to close up with a thought on Vanderbilt baseball here. We've been talking about Vandy, all season long, and there was the surprise scratch of Jack Leiter on Saturday against Alabama. They didn't get to play the Sunday game because of rain, so that means Vandy will play one fewer game in the SEC than everybody else except for Alabama. But that scratch of Leiter, that's gotta be a little. That's gotta make you a little bit nervous. Rocker and Leiter right now. It seemed it was easy that either one of them was going to be the top overall pick. That might not really be the case now.
No, that Rocker got lit up the other night against Alabama. He struck out, I think, the first 8, and then they lit him up. Now they scored enough; it didn't matter. But they were hitting him like it was Little League ball. And now back to Leiter, guys. I've been worried. He's maybe 6 foot, probably 5'11", 190-pound pitcher. He threw 124 pitches. He's never done that before in the South Carolina no-hitter. He came back the next game that he pitched, went 7 innings, and pitched fantastic there too. He hadn't done anything since then. People are teeing off on his fastball. He can't find his other pitches at all, and it's a worry. Now, I'm told there's nothing structural wrong, but I agree with you guys. Anytime this happens, it sends up a flag for sure.
There's one last player I wanted to ask you about on the Vanderbilt team. So, I've only watched a little bit of their games, and I think you've probably watched more than I have. This Enrique Bradfield has got to be so much fun to watch. He's a freshman, and he has stolen, get a load of this, guys, he has stolen more bases than 8 other teams in the SEC. Every time he gets on base, he steals a base. He tries to steal, and he very rarely ever gets caught.
Yeah, he is amazing. Guys, he's a true freshman out of Florida. He's the best base stealer in baseball. Heck, he's one of the hottest hitters in baseball, too.
Yeah.
And, I think he's an All-American talent right now. He's that good. He's that good. And he's probably as exciting a player to watch as anybody in the game right now, anybody in college ball. And, of course, the SEC is king, so good stuff.
Anytime you get someone with that kind of speed that's going to flash it like that, that's always going to be exciting. Bill, we'll let you
amazing.
Go. Appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for your time,
Thanks,
as
Bill.
always.
Appreciate it.
Bradfield's hitting .358. His on-base is .474. He's mostly hitting singles. But this is a guy that turns a single into a double just by, stealing second base. He has stolen 38 bases in 41 attempts. He has stolen more bases than Arkansas has by 1. The Hogs have 37 steals as a team. He has 38 as a dude.
Wow.
That's something else. All right, don't forget about the Fence Man. If you need a new fence or a fence that can help your business, that gets you more security, maybe you just want to look better, more curb appeal, a new fence from the Fence Man can do it all for you. They've been in business over 40 years and can custom install any type of fencing, gates, and controlled access for your business. The Fence Man can also help you out with 18-month same as cash financing. 479-782-3936 for the Fence Man. He ain't afraid of no work. Change my mind to wrap it up.